G'day everyone, I'm Brad. I run the scaling test network with nChain and BA. I'm just going to give you a quick update today on what we've been doing for the last year or so. A quick overview of what the STN is, for anyone who's not aware, is that we're a network, the fourth permanent network on Bitcoin SV, and we are focused on driving Bitcoin SV. We want to push it to the limit and then push it further. This is really beneficial to businesses because they can see what's coming. They can test their application, they can have a risk-free environment where they can develop, they can try new things, they can test scripts that might be a bit risky. We can handle it, bring it on. And I think that moving forward, that's going to become really important for not only businesses, but miners as well. Like miners will need to know, can we handle this? Can we do this? Do we need to scale up? And that's what we're here for. So over the last year, the STN's grown quite a bit. It started out sort of just me. Steve's like, hey, we need to run this network. We need to push Bitcoin. See what you can do. So here we are now. We've got a team of 4. We're operating 40 nodes all around the world, STN nodes. 7 of those at any one time are always mining. And then we start up and stop other miners along the way. And we do all sorts of stuff that you'd be thinking crazy on mainnet, but that's what we're here for. We've upgraded all our infrastructure just about to dedicated hardware. We just keep outgrowing and outgrowing. So the recommendations that you see now for mainnet are what we've derived from testing STN. And I can only see that is going to keep getting bigger. And we've also built a complete logging and monitoring system which we run on the STN. It could be developed for the mainnet as well. Last year that was in the planning phase, and now it's in deployment and we use it pretty much every day. So just a bit of history of why we're here. Bitcoin's had this narrative ever since the beginning just about, where it can't scale and everyone is coming up with all these other solutions about how to do it, in second layers. And for some reason, everyone seemed to miss what Satoshi was saying. He said it's always going to go to data centers. Like any cap is a temporary cap. And we're breaking that and we're proving it. So we started January 2019, we did the 128 meg blocks after we saw the 103 meg block on mainnet. And we wanted to know, can we sustain this? So this was about when op return was starting to pick up and people wanted to put everything on chain. So we wanted to make sure that we could handle it, and we did it. And then we wanted to see how long we could do it for, and we did it for a week straight, no problems. So we then pushed it further, and in May we did gigabyte blocks. So that ended up in a 1.4 gigabyte block full of op return data. So we knew that as far as op return goes, pushing data on chain that way, there wasn't any problem, and we were scaling very nicely with that. And then July, this is where we started to change gears a bit into transactions per second, and that's where it really matters when it comes to scaling. So we reached 100 transactions per second over 144 blocks. 144 blocks is about 24 hours, so that's a whole day. And our peak there was a nice little start. So going to July 10, not very long after, we smashed it. We're now at 370 transactions per second over a whole day. And you can see the block size there, 100 meg, 500,000 transactions, and a very impressive peak number, which I'll go into a little bit about this. We've actually changed the way we calculate the peak transactions per second. So originally we just took any single block and how long it took from the block before it to mine, and there's your number. We've changed that because we want to be a bit more honest about it, a bit more transparent about it. So we define a peak as any moment where there's a massive influx of transactions. That could be over a second, that could be over a minute, could be over an hour, but it could take an inadequately serviced network days to process that. So we changed the way we calculate peak to over any 2 blocks in a 24-hour period and the span of the 4 blocks around it to calculate a more conservative, true representation of what a peak volume would look like. So we started to see after Quasar blocks like this, 520 meg, 2.7 million transactions. This is sort of the first real big push to see how much we could just cram in there and not break things, which I think went really well. And then we reached this, which is a very important milestone, I think, for all of Bitcoin. This is where I think we could really demonstrate, and I haven't to best of my knowledge, seen anyone else do it, that Bitcoin can scale exactly how it was designed. We don't need any other fluff. So now we're sort of where we're at now. We've reached 1,300 transactions over an 8-hour period. We consider that sustainable. We can do that. And we've got a peak number. This is using the new method of calculating of 6,400 on the STN. From there on, we moved into a reset. We did this, when was this? This November. And what I thought was really interesting about that reset was that in the 26 days after it, we did 1.4 billion transactions, 530 transactions per second average, which is actually just shy of 3 times the amount of transactions on all of BTC's history over the last decade. So I think that was really, that really should show you just how held back, in my opinion, Bitcoin has been. We've spent, probably at this point, 9-10 months on this, and we're doing this without breaking the bank. We're so far behind, and we've got so much more to go, and it's really exciting. So this block was the Genesis block for the STN. We activated on the 26th, if my memory serves me right. Quite an interesting time. We ended up doing a slightly self-inflicted 400 block reorg, partly because we can, and we wanted to see what happened. And it worked. Everything went fine, and Genesis activated, and it was, as far as I'm concerned, a big success. So now, post-Genesis, or around Genesis, we did this block. And this one I consider to be the record at the moment. So we've got 5.5 million transactions, give or take, and a 1 gigabyte block. Show me another blockchain that's done it. Very, very good numbers, and this was from the Genesis release. It was a pre-release at that point, but we weren't focused on scaling performance for Genesis. The idea for Genesis was to get back to the original protocol. So this was a very impressive number from a software that wasn't designed to do this. And then I'll talk a bit about this one. 6.3 million transactions. This is technically the world record, but I don't count it because we were doing some funny stuff with mining that day, and we essentially stopped mining for about 13 hours. So the mempools backed up quite a lot because we still kept firing transactions all day. And the only reason this block is only 1.2 gig and not 3.5 gig, like we were seeing in the miners' mempools, is because I had the soft cap set at 1.2. But yeah, as I said, I don't count this one because it did have 13 hours of no mining activity before it. So going forward into 2020, we want to increase the awareness of the STN. We really want to make it known that we're here to support your enterprise, your business, what you want to do. We want to totally rebuild the website. It's a very developer-looking website at the moment. Looking forward to that, actually. We're looking at maybe opening the logging platform to get more involvement. So it'd work in a system where we give you API access, or we give you an executable that you run alongside your node, and it helps us collect metrics. We're only looking at doing this for the STN at the moment. And we're going to keep pushing Bitcoin. We're here to drive it. We're here to work out all the nooks and crannies. We filter all that back to the SV node team, and they turn it into what hopefully is going to be Terranode. I just thought I'd open up this today. This link has actually been hidden but accessible, but today I'm letting everyone know. It's our page where we're monitoring mainnet and the STN. So you can see there the records at the moment for the mainnet and the STN ones. These figures get recalculated every half hour or so. But I think that this page is going to be an interesting one to watch this year as we focus back onto scaling. Thank you. I look forward to continuing to push Bitcoin.
Hi, I'm Hannah Jackson for CoinGeek.com, and I'm here with Brad Kristensen. So for those of us who aren't quite as familiar with the Bitcoin world, tell me a little bit more about the Scaling Test Network.
So the Scaling Test Network, or the STN, is the fourth permanent network available to the Bitcoin SV node implementation. And the point of it is to test what's coming in Bitcoin. Test large-scale applications. Test thousands, 10,000s, eventually 100,000 transactions for a second. We want to do it first on the STN, and then we can roll it out to mainnet.
So now that the Genesis upgrade has already happened and bigger businesses are coming on board and onto the blockchain, why is it going to play such a major role moving forward?
Yeah, so it's really important for them, I think, to battle harden their systems. They also need to be on the network transacting, and they need to know that what they're building can handle it. This isn't 3-4 transactions a second like BTC. This is potentially millions of transactions a second down the line. We're the starting point to that. We're the entry network. Like if you can survive us, you can survive mainnet. So we're the test, I guess.
So how does everyone get on board with the SDN? How can they sign up and join in?
So anyone can start a Bitcoin SV node and join the SDN. It's completely open. We purposely wanted to make it as public and as real world as possible without any monetary value. You can go to the Bitcoin Scaling website for more information. It's bitcoinscaling.io, and come join us and see if you got what it takes.
So looking ahead into the future, 2020, 2021, what can we expect to see from you, and what any little teasers you can give us?
Well, now that we've got Genesis out of the way, we can go back to focus on scaling. So I really want to quadruple those numbers that we're seeing now. We're around 1300 TPS sustainable. Yeah, I really want to push that as hard as we can, and a lot of what we do is learning how to drive the software, and Terranode is going to be even bigger part to play for that. Like, we'll be the ones at the front lines, working out all the kinks and changing the oil and that sort of thing.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Brad, and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you.